Hey everyone, this is Rod. I hope you're all doing well. I was I wanted to do this a little different today. I'm gonna do like this like a meeting. I know it's like a video, but I'm gonna do it like a meeting today, kind of like freestyling. And so I have an agenda. I have it written down here. I was gonna tell you what my agenda is, and that's it. So so the theme of this meeting though is called always move towards them, and I'll tell you about why I chose that in just a minute. But before I even get to that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the COVID, or um, the virus that's out there right now, coronavirus, and talk about that a little bit. um, Going to talk about my new book. I'm excited. I have a new book out. I want to talk to you about that a little bit, and then I wanted to read a chapter to you from the book. So that's the agenda today in this meeting that we're doing. I'm calling it a meeting. So first of all, about the coronavirus, how's everyone doing out there as far as the virus? Like, what experiences are you having? What's your thinking on it? What have you seen? What's going on with you? Um, I was talking to a lady today, and she was sharing with me an amazing story that she had about the virus. At least I thought it was. And what she said was that she just gotten over the virus, and not only did she have it, but her whole family had it. Her husband had it. Her two kids had it. She's in her 50s, so her kids are grown. They had it, and she said that they all had like different symptoms. And her young kids, were in their 20s. They hardly had any symptoms from it, and that's where they got it from. Her husband, he had some symptoms. I can't remember exactly what she said his symptoms were, but I think he had a fever, is what she said. I think he had some aches, but after a couple of days, he had got through it. Her symptoms were a little bit more severe than theirs, but she got through it too. But her symptoms were, she said there's like a tightness in her chest. She was really tired. She said she would lay down and take a nap, and six hours later she would wake up. Um, she said that she had aches. Sometimes her wrist aches, sometimes her arm hurts, so she had these aches. Um, so those were the main things. She had talked to her doctor, and her doctor said, no need to go into emergency room or anything like that. Just kind of sit it out, get plenty of rest. She said the key is to get plenty of rest. She tried to get up a little sooner, and what happened was she kind of had like a relapse where she was exhausted again. So the key, she said, was just to get her rest. But one of the things she did say to me was that, that, but she got through it. And she says, there's nothing to be afraid of. This is what she's telling me. There's nothing to be afraid of. We got through it. It was uncomfortable for sure. She felt the weight on her chest, and but she got through it. And that's what she wanted to tell. Not to minimize, people who are struggling more than that, but that was the message that she gave me. I thought that was real interesting. I know last week, I've been working from home for probably, I think, a month now, but we don't go out too much, me and my wife. It's just me and my wife here. But we did go by the grocery store last week. We went by Costco, and I have to tell you, I was dreading it because I've seen the stories, I've heard the stories, the chaos. I just didn't want to have nothing to do with that. And but we did when we went to Costco last Saturday. It was the parking lot wasn't that full where I live, but there was a long line outside, and I was like, it's like, do I really want to spend my afternoon? We got there about 11. Do I want to spend my morning in this long line? You know, but we got into line, and one of the things you got to keep in mind, and my wife reminded me too, is like you got to stay like 6 feet apart. You just got to keep that in mind, 6 feet apart. And but the line went quick. I mean, we were in that line probably 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at the most, and they let about 8 or 10 people in at a time. So it went quick. It wasn't a lot of people in the stores, and I saw people walking around. They had masks on. I had some people had gloves on. You know, and we just went about our business. We tried to keep our distance from each other. But the first place we went to was the toilet paper, and not that I was out or anything, but after the mad rushes and the things you're hearing, I just want to make sure I got mines. And you know what? And I wasn't even expecting them to have toilet paper, but nonetheless. But they did. They had lots of toilet paper. They had a mountain of toilet paper, so plenty. You only can get one, which is fine. They had plenty of food, plenty of meats, whatever you needed, plenty. And at the register, they had this glass window, so that protected the cashier or the person at the register, and it also protected us. So I thought that was a neat add-on that Costco did. So it just gave me hope. I'm in there. I'm not seeing a lot of chaos. People are taking their time, very relaxed. It gave me hope, And then also talking to that lady, they gave me hope. So, but if you have stories or things that's going on with you, because change is hard. It's hard for all of us. That's the one thing about this coronavirus is that it affects all of us. It affects all communities. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Doesn't matter what your culture is. We're all vulnerable. It affects all of us. And we all know somebody who has it or has been affected by it, who's lost their jobs. So the weight of that is on all of us. So, but yeah, if there's anything you want to talk about, if anything you want to post, um, you know, it's all up to you. So anyway, that's all I have to say for the coronavirus. So anyway, so I have some exciting news. I talked about goals a few weeks ago, and one of my goals I told you is that I want to lose weight, and I have been losing weight. I think I've lost 5, maybe 8 pounds. I can't remember how much I weighed when I first started, but I've been losing weight, and one of the things I've been doing, I haven't been eating breakfast. I haven't eaten breakfast for 3 weeks. Usually I do eat breakfast. There's like this argument about, is breakfast, should you eat breakfast? Should you not? On and on and on. But I was listening to Dr. Oz, and Dr. Oz had a debate with, I can't remember the actor's name, but there's a debate about breakfast or not. And I decided just not to do it. And I know, and the debate is that he said you have more energy, you can think clearer, and that's something I need. And I know I told you that I write. I haven't written for a couple of weeks, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But when I write, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I write till 5 o'clock in the morning. And at that time when I write, I don't eat breakfast. I basically drink coffee. I get out of bed, I grab my cup of coffee, I go right to my computer, and I start writing. And the reason why I don't eat is because when I eating, it's something about the food in my stomach. It stops me from thinking when I'm writing. It doesn't flow through me. So that's why I don't eat. It's something about that food and digestion. I just can't think. And one thing about me getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and writing, I do that because when I write, it just flows through me. It's almost an effortless process of writing. The only hard part is getting up, but I'm able to write and it just flows through me when I get up at that time. So anyway, so I've been not eating for the last, I think probably 3 weeks, breakfast at least, and I've been a little hungry, but I've been able to think. Excuse me. So I've been a little hungry, but at least I've been able to think, and so it's working for me. And as a result, I'm losing weight too. I'm kind of watching when I eat, but as a result, I'm losing weight. Most of the time, I eat 2 meals a day. If you can believe this, on the weekend, sometimes I eat 1 meal a day, and that is really odd for me to eat 1 meal a day. And I don't do it by choice, not usually. Sometimes what happens is I'm working on something, like I'm working on my book, or I'm working on these videos that I do, or whatever it is, something personal that I'm thinking of, and I get going. I told my wife it's like being pulled. I've heard I can't remember his name. Tony Robbins talk about either something's pushing you towards your goal or pulling towards your goal. And when you have something pulling you towards your goal, you just really just flow through it. And so sometimes when I'm working on the weekends, I have something that's pulling, and I just don't want to stop. I don't want to stop to eat. I don't want to stop to go to the bathroom. I don't want to socialize with anybody. I don't want to do anything. So in those days, for whatever reason, I just haven't eaten until I'm exhausted. I can't go any further. And then at the end of the day, that's basically my reward. I'll make a meal and I'll eat. So that's one of the reasons I've been losing weight. And I've been exercising. I haven't exercised the last week, but I've been exercising regularly. So that's that. But anyway, so the other thing I actually, one of my other goals was to finish my book. I talked about this book I was writing. So the book is here for you. It's called The Invisible Man in the Mirror. This is just a copy. It says not for sale, so it's just a copy for myself. But it's called The Invisible Man in the Mirror. So I did finish that, and I did publish it too. And I'm excited about this book. So I wanted to, and it's not a very big book. It's only just over 100 pages long. I think 107 pages. But I wanted to share with you about the book, and I wanted to read at least one chapter to you today. And that chapter is called Always Move Towards Them. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. But the reason why I wrote the book, and actually, and the book's going to be on sale too, and I'll explain that to you at the end. It's going to be on sale when. But the reason why I wrote the book is because I called The Invisible Man in the Mirror. I wrote the book because a lot of times we don't see ourselves, particularly people of color and women. Sometimes, when you go through things in life and people ignore you or they don't value you, what happens is after a while, because it's your world, you start to take it in and you don't value yourself. So that theme in the book is when you don't value yourself, that's you not seeing yourself in the mirror. When you do value yourself, you are seeing yourself in the mirror. Even when other people don't like you, even when people don't value you, whatever it is, if you can value yourself, that's you seeing yourself in the mirror. So that's the theme of of this book. And I think it's 12 chapters I have, 12, 14 chapters, and various titles like have titles called, Your Anger, a title called Know Your Power, A Sense of Entitlement, Don't Ever Give Your Power Away, stuff like that. If you want respect, give respect. You have no enemies. I mean, it goes on and on. But the Emotional Slave, that's probably, my brother read the book. He said that's his favorite title. That's the last title. But the title I'm going to read for you today is called Always Move Towards Them. So if you just bear with me. And so before I read that chapter, I do want to let you know that the book is going to be on sale for 99 cents. So if you're interested, it's going to be 99 cents. On Amazon, it's the electronic version, 99 cents, the Kindle version. It's going to be on sale from May 2nd through May 4th for 99 cents. So just keep that in mind if you're interested. So anyway, let me find the chapter here. Find a chapter. I need my glasses when I read. These are reading glasses, so I need that. So I'm going to read this to you. And it's not a very long chapter. So we'll see what you think. So it's called, this is the chapter. This is what it looks like. You can see it there. So I have quotes underneath it. So I'll read the quotes right here. Quotes. I quote, in each chapter I quote somebody who's either famous or semi-famous, something they say as relates to the chapter. So again, this chapter is called Always Move Towards Them. And the quote, this time I quoted Alan Moore. And I think he's a writer, a children's writer. I think that's what he does. But what he says is, everybody is special. Everybody. Everybody's a hero, a lover, a fool, a villain. Everybody. Everybody has their story to tell. In quotes, Alan Moore. So I quoted that. So it starts out this way. The next chapter you may struggle with a little bit. The ask in this chapter is very hard to do initially. You may even feel that you're going against yourself or your values, but it's actually the opposite. You're actually empowering yourself, not to mention that you're fortifying yourself. Before you judge me on this chapter, I ask that you hear me out first. And then think about it logically to see if it makes sense to you in your life. This chapter is about moving towards them, and this act of moving towards others can be uncomfortable in some situations. That's the part that I think that you will struggle with. It's those uncomfortable situations that we find ourselves with people that we will need to sometimes ignore and to move forward anyway. All of us are sometimes in situations where we are considered the underdog. When the odds are against us, and when we are not expected to win or not valued in a situation or the workplace. This is especially true for people of color or women. Even so, there is a way to strive in the environment. There is a way that you can control the situation where the odds are against you, where people are against you, and turn this thing around so you're no longer the underdog or no longer devalued. I know this is hard to believe, but actually it can happen for you. It's not easy though, and you must be consistent in your efforts. And I mean day in and day out, you must be consistent. Even when you don't feel like it, even when you are in pain, even when you think it might not be working, you still have to maintain that momentum and consistency every day, mind you. Every moment and every interaction with people throughout your day. I know it sounds like a lot of efforts. Do you know why? Because it is a lot of effort. But this is how you move from a state of being the underdog, devalued, and invisible to a person of value. This is how people will soon learn to see you in the mirror, in your mirror. Have I caught your interest yet? Well, read on. We have some work to do on this one. So many of us are in pain and lonely because people are not moving towards us. They appear to be afraid or not to understand us, therefore, they keep their distance from us. Since they are not moving towards you, it is at that time that you take the initiative and move towards them. You have the power to interact and engage just as they do. If they choose not to engage, then you engage. You take control of the situation. This is how powerful you are. You don't need to wait powerlessly and helplessly for others to react to you. This is you seeing yourself in that mirror. This is also you letting them know that you see them and that you value them. It's a subtle move, but it's an important one. This is what I mean by what you always want. This is what I mean by that you always want to be moving towards others, even those that hurt you, especially those that have hurt you in the workplace. The workplace and your coworkers are a smaller community, and if you are not moving towards them, even with your pain, you can paint yourself in a corner where you excluded yourself from the group. And when that happens, you won't be able to go to them for the resources that you will need to help you get through your challenging workday. And that's a miserable place and a mindset to be day in, day out. Though I agree, this is not fair. For your own sake and survival, you'll need to move past those hurt feelings and continue to reach out to people. Even though they may reject you or initially may not be reaching out to you, this can be sometimes the burden of the underdog, minority, or women in the workplace or in society. So in these situations, you're going to want to know your audience. It's really not that difficult. Just pay attention to what's going on around you. Though I don't play poker, it's like playing poker. Study the players, their moods, their faces, and their reactions. With all with what are their personal intentions? Can I trust the person or not? If I can't trust them, how do I interact with them? How do I not give away my thoughts and intentions when interacting with a person that I sense that I cannot trust or even rely on? You are putting yourself out there. You are taking the initiative. And since you are taking the approach, you don't go you don't go into these situations blindly. Open your eyes and pay attention to what you are getting yourself into. This is how you move towards people. This is how you implement yourself into an environment. Sometimes the environment is friendly and welcoming. At other times, the environment can be hostile and closed off. Either way, the choice is yours with how you want to move forward or not. Just know that just know that though this can be difficult and very challenging, you have options and you are not a helpless victim waiting for someone to reach out to you. I saw the best example of this a few years ago when I was at a formal dinner party. There was about six of us seated at a table together, and at our table there was a man who appeared to have been badly burned on his face. I would imagine that most of us were uncomfortable initially. Maybe even wanted to speak maybe we even wanted to speak to him, but we didn't know what to say or how to approach him. So we said nothing. We all just sat uncomfortably in silence for a little while. The person with the burns did something brave and amazing. He moved towards us and started talking with us. All of us. At first it was at first it was forced and awkward, but after a while the table relaxed and we all were talking comfortably. Why? Because this man bravely and strategically reached out to us because we were ignorant and uncomfortable. He took the burden upon himself. He took the burden upon himself to make us comfortable and to teach us with his actions that he was a human being behind his scarred face. He helped us to see who he was in the mirror. I never forgot that lesson and the way that he taught it to us. And this is what you must do in workplaces or in society. Even though people may initially reject you or shy away from you, you have to continue to move towards them so as to help them to overcome their discomfort and ignorance so that you build a healthy relationship and exist peacefully among them. A word of caution and encouragement here. Don't expect immediate results here. Though it does happen, often the results are not immediate, but don't worry or get impatient because usually the results will come. So that's that chapter. So the point of that chapter is that, you know, sometimes we get rejected. Sometimes people exclude us. Sometimes people don't want us around, whatever the situation is. But the point I'm making here is that even though that does happen, you got to move towards people anyway. And I do that all the time, all day long. I'm moving towards people. I'm reaching out to people. I don't force myself on anybody. And I'm patient with people when they don't uh, accept me right away. But I find that the vast majority of time over time, people will accept you as long as you keep moving towards them. Moving towards people is you're saying that I see you, but you're also putting yourself in front of people so that they see you and then they get comfortable with you and then they start to accept you. So anyway, um, that's really all I have today. I thought I'd just kind of freestyle a little bit. I really do appreciate you listening, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks again.